When I was 7, a good-looking guy my mom brought home gave me a box of mangoes. That same day, my dad watched me eat those mangoes while he signed the divorce papers. After that, he jumped off a building. From then on, I couldn't stand mangoes. Just thinking about them made me feel sick. So on my wedding day, I told my wife, Clara Hayes, that if she ever wanted to divorce me, she didn't need to say anything. She could just give me a mango. She hugged me tightly and didn't say a word. From that moment on, she avoided mangoes too. 5 years into our marriage, on Christmas Eve, her childhood friend, Daniel Brooks, placed a mango on her desk. She immediately cut ties with him and fired him from the company. That was the day I knew she was the one for me. 6 months later, I came back from overseas after closing a billion-dollar deal. At the celebration dinner, Clara handed me a drink. I was halfway through it when Daniel, the guy who got fired, walked up behind me with a smug smile. "How's the mango juice?" he asked. I froze. I looked at Clara in shock, but she was trying not to laugh. She told me not to be mad, said Daniel wanted to prank me. She said she didn't give me a mango, just juice. Then she said something else. She said he was right, that I was being ridiculous about the mango thing, that I seemed to enjoy it just fine. I didn't react. I kept my face blank. Then I lifted my glass and threw the rest of the juice in her face. After that, I walked out. Some things aren't jokes. Mangoes aren't, and neither is divorce. Mr. White, your stomach is reacting to stress. You need to stop eating things your body can't handle. Next time it won't just be pain. You might end up needing surgery. Stay here tonight for observation. Also, have your family come pick you up. After the doctor left, I sat there quietly. I had worked 39 days straight overseas for that project. I had just gotten back home. I never thought that the drink Clara gave me at the celebration would end with me in a hospital bed. I opened our WhatsApp chat and started typing. Then I stopped. Something didn't feel right. I looked closer. It was still Clara, but her profile picture had been changed to a green mango. While I was staring at my phone, she called. Her voice sounded cold. "I'm home. Where are you?" I didn't answer. Before, I would have just let it go. Pretended nothing happened, but tonight I had nothing to say. She got impatient. "Enough, Jason White. How long are you going to keep this up?" I paused for a second. "I'm at the hospital." She went silent. She never really cared about my health. She probably didn't expect that drink would actually put me here. Then she said she was coming right away. I didn't want to see her, but I didn't have the strength to leave. Time passed. The doctor came in 3 times to check on me. Clara never showed up. Right before I fell asleep, I checked my phone one last time. Daniel had posted on Instagram. "Every time I get hurt, my princess shows up right away. Life's good." There was a photo. Clara was putting a bandage on him. Daniel's profile picture had also been changed to a yellow mango. It looked bright. But just looking at it made me feel sick. We had known each other for 10 years. Clara always understood my boundaries. She had been in business for years. She knew how to keep distance from other men. But now, she kept crossing the line. Fine. If that's how things were going to be, then we were done. And that billion-dollar deal I had just closed overseas, she didn't need that either. That deal could decide the future of the company. The next morning, Clara didn't call, didn't text. Strangely, I wasn't even angry anymore. After the doctor confirmed everything was fine, I left the hospital and went straight home. A 5,000-square-foot villa we had paid off last year. 7 years ago, after graduation, we lived in a basement. We shared instant oatmeal. 5 years ago, when we got married, we ate street food and bought a tiny cake. Now I was standing alone in a huge house. I thought I'd get used to it. I was going through the divorce papers my lawyer sent me when Clara walked in. She smelled like men's cologne. Clara had sensitive skin. She hated perfume. That was why for 7 years I never used anything scented. Even my shampoo was fragrance-free. I guess those rules only applied to me. She saw me sitting on the couch with my tablet. She hesitated. Then she explained. She said Daniel got drunk at the dinner last night and fell. She said she took him home. It got late. The drive was long, so she stayed at a nearby hotel. That was why she didn't come to the hospital. I nodded. Then I canceled another partnership on my tablet. Okay. She looked confused, like she didn't expect that reaction. She stepped closer and looked at me. It's Saturday. Don't worry about work. I'm taking Daniel to Paris for a trip. Do you want to come? 7 years ago, on my birthday, Clara and I took a $5 photo at a night market. It was one of those cheap setups, with a fake Eiffel Tower in the background. She told me that one day when we had money, we would go to the real Paris and take the same picture again. Years passed. Our house got bigger. The company kept growing, but she got busier. And there was always an excuse. She would say the company was at a critical stage, that as the CEO, she couldn't just leave and travel abroad. She asked me to understand. So I did. I stopped bringing up Paris. And I focused on work instead. I helped her build the company step by step. But now, for Daniel, she suddenly had time. I opened another email from a client. 3 people is too crowded. I'm not interested. Clara looked relieved. She said she would grab her things and head out. She told me to get lunch on my own and that we'd have dinner together later. Then she mentioned something else. She said this partnership was important for expanding overseas, that the media would be there on Monday for a press conference. She said I had always wanted to stand next to her in public. That Monday would be my chance. She told me to be ready. She paused for a moment. Then she smiled and said she would introduce me properly this time, that she wouldn't let Daniel interfere again. I glanced at her. I knew this was her way of making up for what happened before. That was fine. Canceling the Urencia deal would take a few more days anyway. Announcing it during the press conference would be perfect timing. That evening I arrived at the restaurant early, just like always. After 7 years, it had become a habit. While I was waiting, I got a call from overseas. It was Ashley Walker. She had been my opponent in the last negotiation, and also my former professor. Her voice sounded relaxed. She asked if I had thought about her offer. She said Johnson Corporation was too small for me. This was the 3rd time she had tried to recruit me. The first time was 7 years ago. Back then, I turned down a high-paying job abroad. Instead, I chose to work at Clara's startup. My salary was $2,500 a month, and I still had to contribute $1,000 for rent. Ashley was furious back then. She talked to me for a long time, but I didn't change my mind. The second time was just a few days ago, at the negotiation table. As her opponent, I completely outperformed her. Afterward, she looked impressed, but also cautious. She told me she heard I was only making $5,000 a month. She said I shouldn't waste my talent somewhere that didn't value me. I smiled and refused. How could it be a waste? That was my wife's company. We built it together. Now, this was the 3rd time. I stayed silent for 3 seconds. Ordered a bottle of wine. Then I agreed. I told her to send me the address. I said I would start next Tuesday. She paused, then laughed. She agreed quickly, like she was afraid I might change my mind. Then she hung up. I smiled. I was about to put my phone down. Then Clara's messages came in. She said the plan had changed. Daniel couldn't wait, so she took him on the plane already. She told me to eat dinner alone and wait for her. She said she had a surprise for me when she got back. At the same time, Daniel posted a news story and tagged me. He thanked Clara for making his dream come true, said he would treat her to dinner tomorrow. The photo showed them standing under the Eiffel Tower, holding hands. The exact same pose as the photo we took 7 years ago. I looked at it for 2 seconds, then closed it and opened Ashley's chat. I told her I would bring her a gift when I joined. I asked if she wanted the $1 billion Urentia deal. My phone started vibrating nonstop. She replied immediately, yes, over and over again. Then she added something else. She reminded me that yesterday was my birthday. She said the gift she sent should have already arrived. I froze. Then I started laughing, and I couldn't stop. Right, yesterday was my birthday. When Clara watched me drink that juice, did she remember? When she stayed with Daniel and left me alone in the hospital, did she think about getting me anything? Probably not. But it didn't matter anymore. We were getting divorced. And I didn't need a gift from someone who was about to become my ex-wife. After dinner, I didn't go home. I threw myself back into work. The Urentia project was now a gift for my next company. I couldn't afford to make any mistakes. For the next 2 days, I stayed at the office. Worked non-stop. Barely slept. People started noticing. There was a group chat I wasn't part of, but I still saw what they were saying. They said I only made $5,000 a month, that I depended on Clara for everything. They said they didn't understand how I had the nerve to get upset. They said the company was already successful, that without me, nothing would change. Some even said that when Clara first started the company, I held her back, that if it weren't for me, the company would have grown faster. Daniel took screenshots of everything, then sent them to me privately. He acted like he cared. He said that marrying someone like Clara must make me feel insecure. Then he said something else. He said women don't like men who only work, that they prefer men like him. Young, good-looking, fit. I laughed. Then I told him I would fire him the next day, so he wouldn't have to worry about attracting women anymore. After that, I blocked him. 10 minutes later, Clara called. Her tone was sharp. She immediately started blaming me. She said Daniel didn't do anything wrong, that she worked hard to bring him to Paris so he could forgive me. She said I made him upset again. She asked if I could go one day without causing problems. I found it funny. While printing the divorce papers, I asked her when she and Daniel were coming back. I said we needed to talk about the divorce. She went quiet for a second. Then she sounded angry. She asked if I was done yet. Said there was a limit to how much she would tolerate. She told me that if I kept acting like this, she would really get mad. I paused. Then I couldn't help laughing. The divorce papers were already printed. Why would I care if she got mad? I told her I would sign them and leave them on her desk. I told her to make sure she checked them when she got back. There was a loud noise on the other end. It sounded like she kicked something. Then she told me not to regret it. And hung up. I shrugged. Then I signed the papers. The next morning, I saw her messages. It looked like she hadn't slept at all. At 4 a.m., she posted something publicly. The photo showed her and Daniel standing by the hotel window. Their fingers were intertwined. The caption said she was glad she had him by her side through 7 years. There were thousands of comments. Most people were asking about their relationship. One comment asked if he was the husband she had been hiding. She didn't reply, but she pinned a quiet emoji at the top. Then she sent a message in the company group. She said Daniel would take over my position immediately. She said the Urentia project would be handed to him, and that he would attend the launch that night instead of me. She knew everything. She knew I had worked 39 days straight for that deal. She knew how much I sacrificed, but she still gave it to him, just to make me give in. Then she messaged me directly. She said I still had a chance to admit I was wrong. I didn't reply. I put my phone down and started getting ready. She forgot something. I was the one who secured the Urentia project. The partner didn't care about the company. They only trusted me. After getting ready, I went downstairs for breakfast. When I came back, everything in my office had been thrown out. My mug, my files, everything. The divorce papers I signed were torn apart. The only thing left was our wedding photo. It was placed neatly on the balcony. Daniel was sitting in my chair, smiling. He told me Clara had already given him the office. Then he pointed somewhere else. A small storage space near the restroom. There was water leaking from the ceiling. He told me I could work there instead. I didn't respond. I just looked at Clara. She hadn't said anything this whole time. She looked tired. Her eyes were red, but she was smiling, and something about that smile felt wrong. I looked at Clara. She had been quiet the whole time. Her eyes were red, like she hadn't slept, but she was smiling. That kind of smile didn't match her face. I didn't ask anything. There was nothing left to ask. Daniel leaned back in my chair like he already owned the place. He said the office suited him better. He said I should get used to the new arrangement. I still didn't respond. I walked past him, picked up the wedding photo from the balcony. For a moment, I just stood there looking at it. 7 years, from nothing to everything, and now it meant nothing. I put it face down on the table. Then I turned to Clara. I asked her one thing. I asked if she was serious. She didn't answer right away. She just looked at me. Then she asked why I was making things so complicated. She said it was just a small issue. She said I was overreacting again. I nodded. That word again. Overreacting. I asked her if she remembered what mangoes meant to me. She didn't say anything. Then she looked away. That was enough of an answer. I took a slow breath. Then I told her I had already signed the divorce papers. I told her it was over. She frowned slightly, like she still didn't believe me. She said I was just being emotional. She said I would calm down in a few days. She said I always did. I almost laughed. She was right. Every time before this, I had let things go. Every time I chose to stay quiet, because I thought it was worth it, because I thought she was worth it. But this time, I was done. I told her she could tear the papers as many times as she wanted. I would print them again, as many times as it took. Her expression finally changed. For the first time, she looked a little uneasy. She asked if I was serious. I didn't answer. I just looked at her. Then I turned around and walked out. I didn't go back to the office. I didn't take anything with me. There was nothing there I needed anymore. When I got outside, I stopped for a second. The air felt different, lighter, but also empty. 7 years, just like that. Gone. My phone buzzed. It was Ashley. She asked if everything was ready. I told her yes. I told her I would bring the deal with me. She said she would be waiting. Then she added something else. She said I wouldn't regret this. I looked at the message for a few seconds. Then I put my phone away. For the first time in a long time, I felt calm. I didn't go back home. I went straight to the office building next door. Ashley had already arranged everything. A temporary office. A team waiting. They didn't ask questions. They just treated me like I belonged there. It felt strange. After 7 years of being in one place, walking away that easily didn't feel real, but I didn't hesitate. I handed over the core details of the Urentia project, not everything. Just enough to move things forward. Ashley called me personally after reviewing it. She said this deal alone was worth more than anything I had been given before. She said I should have made this move years ago. I didn't respond. There was no point thinking about the past now. That night, I stayed at the new office. I didn't go home. I didn't check my messages. I didn't think about Clara. At least I tried not to. The next morning, my phone was full of notifications, missed calls, messages, all from her. I didn't open them right away. Instead, I went through my schedule. Meetings, preparations. Everything was already moving. By noon, news started spreading. The Urentia partner had refused to work with Johnson Corporation. They made it clear. They would only continue if I was involved. Otherwise, the deal was off. Inside the company, things started to fall apart. People were confused. Some were panicking. I finally opened my phone. Clara had sent dozens of messages. At first, she sounded angry, then impatient, then something else. She asked where I was. She asked what I was doing. She asked why the partner was refusing to cooperate. Then she asked one thing again. If I was serious about the divorce. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I typed a short reply. Yes, I sent it. She didn't respond immediately, but a few minutes later she called. I let it ring. Then it stopped. A message came in right after. She said we needed to talk. I didn't reply. Another message. She said I was going too far. Another one. She said I was hurting the company. I read all of them. Then I locked my phone. For the first time, I didn't feel anything. Not anger, not disappointment, just nothing. That afternoon, Ashley confirmed the final transfer. The Urentia deal was now officially under her company. Everything I had worked for was no longer connected to Clara. By evening, the news was everywhere. Inside her company, outside. People started asking questions, and this time, she couldn't ignore them. By the next morning, the situation had completely changed. Inside Johnson Corporation, everything was in chaos. The Urentia project had been the center of their expansion plan. Now it was gone. Meetings were being called non-stop. People were trying to figure out what went wrong, but there was only one answer. Me. Or rather, the fact that I was no longer there. I didn't need to guess what Clara was going through. I knew how much she had invested into this. Time, energy, reputation, and now it was slipping away. Because of one decision, because of me. Around noon, I finally got another message from her. This time, it was short. Where are you? I looked at it, then put my phone down. A few minutes later, another message came. Come back, we need to fix this. Fix. That word felt strange, as if everything that happened could still be undone, as if nothing had crossed the line yet. I didn't reply. Instead, I focused on my work. Ashley had already started integrating me into the new team. Meetings, plans, strategy. Everything moved quickly. No hesitation, no doubt. It was the opposite of what I had just left behind. Later that afternoon, I got a call. I checked the screen. Clara. I stared at it for a few seconds. Then I answered. Neither of us spoke at first. Then she asked where I was. Her voice sounded different. Not cold, not sharp, tired. I told her I was busy. She paused. Then she asked me to come back. She said we could talk about everything. She said we could fix it. I asked her one thing. I asked if Daniel was still with her. She didn't answer right away. Then she said it didn't matter. That was enough. I told her it did matter. Then I told her I wasn't coming back. She tried to say something else, but I ended the call. A few seconds later, another message came in. She said I was being unreasonable, that I was throwing everything away, that I would regret it. I looked at the message, then deleted the conversation. Not just that message. Everything. 7 years of messages. Gone. That night, I stayed late at the office again. Not because I had to, but because I didn't want to think, didn't want to remember, didn't want to go back. At some point, Ashley walked in. She didn't ask anything. She just placed a file on the table. Then she said something simple. She said, "I made the right choice." I didn't respond. But for the first time, I believed it. The next day, things got worse. News about the failed Urentia deal had already spread outside the company. People started questioning Clara's decisions. Investors were calling. Partners were pulling back. Pressure was building from every direction, and this time, she couldn't push it onto anyone else. Around midday, I got another call. This time, I recognized the number immediately. It was one of the senior partners from Johnson Corporation. He didn't waste time. He asked me directly if I was willing to return. He said the company was willing to renegotiate everything. Position, salary, conditions, anything. I listened quietly. Then I said no. There was a pause on the other end. Then he asked if this was because of Clara. I didn't answer that. I just repeated my answer, no. After the call ended, I sat there for a while, 7 years. And it all came down to that one word. That afternoon, Ashley came to find me again. She told me Clara had been trying to reach her more than once. She wanted to talk about the deal. She wanted a chance to fix things. Ashley asked me what I wanted to do. I thought about it for a few seconds. Then I told her she could handle it however she wanted. I didn't care anymore. Ashley studied me for a moment, then she nodded. She didn't ask anything else. By evening, another message came in. From Clara. This time it was different. No anger, no accusations, just one sentence. "Let's meet." I stared at it for a long time. Then I replied, "Tomorrow." She responded almost immediately. Okay, that was it. No extra words, no arguments. For the first time, it felt real. That night, I didn't stay at the office. I went back home. The house felt even bigger than before. Empty. Quiet. I walked into the living room. The wedding photo was still there, exactly where I left it. Face down. I didn't touch it. I just walked past it, went upstairs, and closed the door. Tomorrow would be the first time we saw each other after everything, and maybe the last. The next day, I arrived early. Not because I wanted to, just habit. 7 years of always being the one who showed up first. The place we agreed to meet was quiet, a restaurant we had been to before. Nothing special, but it used to mean something. I sat down and waited. A few minutes later, Clara walked in. She looked different, not because of how she dressed, but because of her expression. She looked tired, more tired than I had ever seen her. She sat across from me. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then she asked if I had been busy. I nodded. She asked if I was eating properly. I said yes. After that, silence. It felt strange. We used to have so much to say. Now there was nothing left. She finally broke it. She asked why I had done this, why I had taken the deal away, why I had gone that far. I looked at her, then asked her something simple. I asked if she really didn't understand. She frowned. She said it was just a misunderstanding. She said the situation with Daniel didn't mean anything. She said I was overthinking everything. That word again. Overthinking. I nodded slowly. Then I asked her about Paris. I asked her if she remembered what it meant. She didn't answer. She just looked down. That was enough. I told her I had waited. For years, I told her I had stopped asking. Because she said she didn't have time, but somehow, she had time for him. She tried to explain. She said it wasn't like that. She said I was misunderstanding again. I didn't argue. I just listened. Then I asked her one last thing. I asked her if she remembered my birthday. She froze. Just for a second, but I saw it. That was all I needed. I nodded. Then I stood up. She called my name. But I didn't stop. I told her the papers were already signed, that there was nothing left to talk about. She stood up too. She said we could still fix things. She said I was being too extreme. She said we had 7 years together. 7 years. I repeated that in my head. Then I told her that was exactly why I was leaving, because I had already given her 7 years, and I wasn't going to give her any more. I walked out. This time, I didn't look back. After I left the restaurant, I didn't stop walking right away. I kept going. I didn't know where I was going. I just didn't want to stay there. My phone started vibrating. I didn't need to check. I knew it was her. I let it ring, then it stopped. A message came in. She asked me to come back. Said we weren't done talking. I didn't reply. Another message. She said I was being cold. Another one. She said I was acting like everything meant nothing. I stopped walking. Looked at the screen. 7 years. How could it mean nothing? That was exactly the problem. It meant too much. That's why I couldn't stay. I locked my phone and put it away. That night, I went back to the office. Work was the only thing that made sense now. Everything else didn't. The next morning, things escalated again. News about the failed deal kept spreading. More pressure, more questions, and this time, Clara couldn't ignore it anymore. Around noon, Ashley called me into her office. She told me Clara had come in person. She was downstairs. She wanted to see me. I stayed quiet for a few seconds. Then I said no. Ashley didn't react. She just nodded. Then she told me Clara refused to leave. She said Clara was waiting. I didn't move. A few minutes later, my phone rang again. Clara. I stared at it, then answered. She didn't greet me. She just asked where I was. I told her it didn't matter. She said she was downstairs. She said she wasn't leaving until she saw me. I stayed silent. Then she said something else. She said we couldn't end like this. I closed my eyes for a second. Then I told her we already had. She tried to speak again. But I ended the call. A few minutes later, Ashley came back. She said Clara was still there, sitting, waiting, not saying anything. I didn't go down. I stayed where I was. Hours passed. She didn't leave. By evening, the building was almost empty. Ashley asked me one last time if I wanted to see her. I shook my head. Then I packed my things and left through another exit. When I got outside, I saw her. She was still there, standing near the entrance, looking tired, waiting. For a moment, I almost stopped. But I didn't. I walked past without saying anything. She didn't call out to me. She didn't follow. She just stood there and watched me leave. After that night, Clara stopped calling. No messages, no missed calls, nothing. It was quiet, too quiet. At first, I didn't think much about it. I assumed she finally understood, or maybe she gave up. Either way, it didn't change anything for me. I stayed focused on work. Everything was moving fast now. The Urentia project was fully transferred. New plans were already in place. Meetings filled my schedule from morning to night. Ashley didn't push me. She didn't ask about my personal life. She just gave me space and work. That was enough. A few days later, news came out. Johnson Corporation officially announced internal restructuring. Daniel was now leading the department. But things weren't going well. Without the Urentia deal, their expansion had stalled. Investors were losing confidence. People were starting to question decisions, including hers. I saw the reports. I didn't react. This was expected. A few more days passed. Then something unexpected happened. I received a message. Not from Clara, from Daniel. I almost ignored it, but for some reason I opened it. It was short. He asked if we could talk. I stared at it for a few seconds, then replied, no. He sent another message immediately. He said this wasn't about me. He said it was about Clara. I paused. Then I stopped typing. I didn't reply again. Whatever he wanted to say. It didn't matter anymore. That night, I stayed late again. The office was quiet, almost empty. At some point, I got up to get water. When I came back, my phone had another notification. This time, it was from Clara. Just one message. I signed it. I stood there for a moment, then slowly sat down. I didn't open the chat right away. I already knew what it meant. The divorce papers. She finally signed them. 7 years. Ended in one sentence. I opened the message. There was nothing else. No explanation. No anger. No emotion. Just that. I signed it. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I locked my phone and went back to work. The next few days passed quietly. Too quietly. No messages from Clara. No calls. Nothing. It felt strange. After everything that happened, I expected something. Anger, blame, anything. But there was nothing. I focused on work, meetings, planning, new strategies. Everything moved forward. But sometimes, in between tasks, my mind would drift. 7 years. It didn't disappear that easily. A week later, Ashley called me into her office again. She handed me a file. Said I should take a look. I opened it. It was about Johnson Corporation, their latest situation, losses, canceled partnerships, projects on hold. The damage was worse than I expected. Then I noticed something else. A name, Clara Hayes. She was no longer listed as CEO. I looked up. Ashley nodded. She said Clara stepped down. No announcement, no explanation, just gone. I didn't say anything, I just closed the file. That night I stayed later than usual. Not because I had work. I just didn't feel like leaving. Around midnight, I finally packed up. When I walked outside, I saw someone standing across the street. At first, I didn't recognize her. Then she stepped closer. Clara. She looked thinner, more tired than before. Her eyes were red again, but this time, she wasn't smiling. She just stood there, looking at me. I didn't move. Neither did she. For a moment, it felt like time had stopped. Then she walked toward me. Slowly. When she got close, she stopped. There was a long pause. Then she said she was sorry. No excuses. No explanations. Just that. I didn't respond. She looked down. Then said something else. She said she went back to that restaurant, alone. She said she sat in the same seat and realized something. She said she didn't remember the last time we had a real conversation. She said somewhere along the way, she stopped noticing me. I listened, but I didn't feel anything. Not anger, not sadness, just distance. She asked if there was still a chance. I looked at her. For a long time, then I shook my head. Slowly, her shoulders dropped. Like she already knew the answer, but still hoped it would be different. She nodded, then stepped back. She didn't cry, didn't say anything else. She just turned around and walked away. This time, I didn't stop her. After that night, I didn't see Clara again. No messages, no calls, nothing. It felt like everything had finally come to an end. Clean, quiet, like it was supposed to be. I moved into a new place, smaller, simpler. There was no need for anything big anymore. No need for space I didn't use. No need for memories I didn't want. Work kept moving forward. The Urentia project became a success, bigger than expected. Ashley trusted me with more responsibility, more decisions. And this time, everything I did had nothing to do with Clara. It felt different. Lighter. One afternoon, Ashley mentioned something casually. She said Clara had left the city. No one knew exactly where she went. She sold the house. Stepped away from everything. I listened. Then nodded. That was all. A few days later, I received a package. No sender name, just my address. I opened it slowly. Inside, there was a photo. Old, slightly worn. It was from 7 years ago. The night market, the fake Eiffel Tower. Me and Clara standing side by side, smiling. I stared at it for a long time. Then I noticed something else inside the box. A single mango. Fresh, bright, just like before. I looked at it. My stomach tightened. For a moment, nothing changed. Then something felt different. I picked it up, held it in my hand, waited, but this time, I didn't feel sick. I didn't feel anything. I set it back down, then I took the photo and placed it inside a drawer, closed it, and didn't open it again. Some things stay in the past and some things end exactly when they should.